10 of the most outlandish things that the Harry Potter trio have done. The Golden Trio from Harry Potter are, by far, some of the most loved characters from any film franchise. They were loyal to each other and were all around perfect people. But there have been things that they have done that were not particularly within the best interests of other people, etc. And so in today's video, we're going to be going over 10 of the most outlandish things that the Harry Potter trio have done. But before we do, leave a like and subscribe with notifications on, because if you do, you could get a shout out. But let's get into it. Number 1. The fact that they froze Neville wasn't exactly the best thing they could have done. Let's all agree on that for a second. They always seem to be obsessed with doing the right thing, but sometimes that came at the cost of their friends. Of course, we know that during the Philosopher's Stone that the trio had to go to the depths of the castle to protect the stone from Quirrell, but before they did this, they had to incapacitate Neville because he was threatening to report them for leaving the common room after hours. I guess, in a way, Hermione didn't really have a choice, but still, they could have done something else rather than freeze the poor boy on the spot.
You're a little scary sometimes.
Number 2. Next up, we have the fact that Ron dated Lavender. This was probably one of the worst things that he's ever done, and it's all because he was jealous that he didn't get to take Hermione to the ball. He wanted to show Hermione what she was missing out on, so he made a statement by coupling up with Lavender, but it was unbearable to watch, because Hermione was so heartbroken at the fact that Ron was with this other girl and not her. But then, to be honest, Hermione did step a little bit over the line when she attacked Ron with birds, so I guess they were both in the wrong here. But Ron, seriously, you could have just gone up to Hermione and told her how you felt instead of making a statement like that. And the same for you, Hermione. Neither of you told each other how you felt.
It feels like this.
Number 3. Although it was for a good reason, Harry and Ron shouldn't have stole Arthur's car without asking him, because they had no idea what they were doing. After missing the Hogwarts Express, the boys recklessly drive the car through the skies of London, which could have put the Wizarding World into a lot of danger, but they also crash the car into the Whomping Willow, damaging it, which resulted in some serious consequences once they finally made it to school. Number 4. Although almost all of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child was bad, and nobody really liked it, there is one particular moment involving Harry that viewers hated. This moment was when he had an argument with his son, Albus, when they were talking about Slytherin. Of course, having a Slytherin child wasn't quite what Harry wanted, but he goes as far as to tell Albus that he wishes that he wasn't his son. It's a very crude thing to come from Harry, considering his own history with his parental figures, the Dursleys, as they weren't exactly very nice to him. So you think he would at least be kind to his own child after what he was put through, but no, he tells him that he wishes he wasn't his son. Bad move, Harry, bad move.
Listen, if it really means that much to you, you can choose Gryffindor. The Sorting Hat takes your choice into account.
There were times when the trio had to make decisions that didn't always look up to the greater good, and retrieving the locket from Umbridge in order to destroy it was one of those times. It was an impossible situation, and the trio had a lot of work on their hands, and the only way to make it into the Ministry was by impersonating some of its officials. Not only was this against the law, but it was also very dangerous for them to have even stepped foot into the Ministry. Ron also put his pretend wife in danger because of his incapacity to perform proper duties. In reality, the situation could have been a lot worse than it was, so they got out lucky in my opinion. Number 6. Ron has always been known to get a little hot-headed at times, but during the Triwizard Tournament, when he abandoned his best friend because he was jealous that he got all the attention, this was one of the worst things he could have possibly done. When the trio was starting to hunt for Horcruxes, Ron also had a similar overreaction that led to a terrible choice of him walking away and leaving Harry and Hermione on their own. Seriously, Ron has a bit of a problem with jealousy.
Fine. I get it. I saw you two the other night.
Ron, that's nothing. Ron!
Number 7. Creating Dumbledores Army, of course, was a really good thing in the long run, but if we think about it, there was a massive flaw with the naming of the group. Naming it Dumbledores Army put the headmaster at significant risk, especially because the Ministry of Magic were already watching him, so they believed that he was the one that came up with this group, even though he didn't know anything about it, and didn't have anything to do with it at all. So the fact that Harry and his friends essentially framed Dumbledore wasn't exactly great. Even though they didn't mean it this way, they still essentially did it.
Dawlish, Shacklebolt, you will escort Dumbledore to Azkaban.
Number 8. Time traveling is a very risky thing to do, and so the fact that Hermione and Harry went back in time wasn't exactly the best thing ever. Going back in time can be very dangerous, and there can be terrible effects that occur when changing history. These two really had no idea what they were doing or what the consequences could have been, but luckily, everything turned out okay, which is surprising. It was just a little bit inconsiderate of them to do what they did, to be honest, even though they kind of did save the day.
Are you mad?
Number 9. Let's admit it. The fact that Harry cast a spell on Draco that he knew nothing about was very immature of him. I understand that he was angry with Draco, but casting the Sectum Sempra on him wasn't the right thing to do. He could have really hurt Draco, more than what he did, and he could have gotten himself expelled, or worse. In reality, Harry was extremely lucky that nothing bad happened to him, and that Draco survived the ordeal. Number 10. When Hermione erased her parents' minds, we all understood why she did it, but it's one of the worst things that she could have done. I know that she did it to protect them, as she needed to remove any trace of herself from their minds, but this meant that she had to use illegal magic on them. She wiped her parents' minds completely, essentially creating a version of reality for them where their daughter had never existed, so they had no clue who she was. This is an incredibly cruel action, and one of the worst things you could ever do to your family members. But as I said, Hermione did it to protect them, and we understand why she did it. I know for sure that if there was any other way for her to keep them safe, she probably would have done it.
Obliviate.
But there we have it, 10 of the most outlandish things that the Harry Potter trio have done. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe with notifications on. But with that being said, we will see you next time.